Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back to another Logging from Scratch episode. Luckily, I think this is going to be our last time going to that railroad section, because we do have one more load that we got to get out of there, and then I think we got her all wrapped up, which I'm really excited about. All done skis. Then we get to move on to that hill, where we're going to be using some real forestry equipment. Not saying it's going to be fun, though, because even with a giant professional buncher, it's going to be a gong show cutting down some of those trees. Now, I have the option, if I want, to shred a lot of that stuff or grind it up. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down those big trees, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the heavy, like looking at that tree, see the base? I'm going to keep that big, thick base part of the tree all the way to the top, but I'm going to cut all the limbs off and just shred them. I don't really want the limbs. That might be less money doing it that way, but at least we're only dealing with the big stuff, which is awesome. Because I don't want to deal with the little limbs like we're doing right now. It's kind of a pain in the old behind. So I was kind of like, maybe we'll skip that part when we do the big forest. But we'll see what works best for us while we're out there chopping. I think there'll be a lot of hand bombing with the saw. The buncher's also pretty capable of taking limbs off, so we'll see how creative we can get with that. We're going to scoop up the track here. And then we are good to go. So we'll make sure there's no train coming before I cross the tracks, because that would be devastating. A simple head movement can save your life. It's worth it. Do the head movement. Now this is going to be really interesting for us. I wonder if I can back this over here. This is going to be very interesting for us because we have to load this pile at kind of a strange angle. So I want to get... Maybe what I'll do is I'm actually going to back this trailer up to the pile and then load from the back. I just want to keep a good, couple feet away from the track, so if the train does come by, it's not going to completely destroy us, which is something we definitely don't want. Or what I could do, my classic line, what I could do, I'm not going to do it, but I could do it, is learn how to back up a trailer. No, what we're going to do is I'm going to go tilt it at an angle towards the track. So let's go this way. Kind of like that. Where we're not quite on the track, but we can still load this trailer. I'm not going to take the locking straps off because I'm scared it's just going to fall. Whatever. Okay, so now we're going to crawl into the woods a little bit. Our 880 would have been nice here for this stuff. But these are the joys of working in the woods. You have to deal with things. So topic of the day. Maybe a controversial topic, maybe not, depending on where you are and what your opinion is. Topic of the day today is public school safety. There's the train. So the question is, from the person who asked, he said, do you think it's safe for kids to be anywhere even near a public school, or not near, I guess, within a public school these days? Is it safe? So the question was a little bit longer, but I'm just going to kind of round it off to that to make life easy. So I have not been to public school, and I don't have any children, so I have not been to public school since grade 12, which was, 2008? 2009, somewhere around there. I can't even remember what year I graduated. 2008, I'm pretty sure. So I have not been really around a public school since then. So it's really difficult for me to say, safety-wise, whether things have gotten worse or things have improved over time. But I can tell you about my experience when I was in school. Again, it's hard for me I've always lived in a rural area, so it's really hard for me to compare safety to that of maybe a giant school in the middle of a really, crowded city. Because, if you go down to Surrey and Vancouver, you hear nothing but, stories about crime and stories about murders and gangs in the school systems. Up here in small towns where I live, that was never really a problem. We did have a lot of racial controversy issues. We had lots of people fighting over the stupidest things I've ever seen in my life. But usually, I mean, most of it was pretty common high school dramatic stuff, boys and girls fighting over boys and girls and people hating their classes and the odd weird kid here and there. That was probably me. But as far as safety, we had the odd person hilariously try to call in bomb threats when, in the early years. We had people say they were, going to bring a weapon to school or a knife or stab somebody. All just words, though. Never any actual events that caused any bodily harm to anybody with weaponry or, no threats of shooting or actual shootings or anything terrible like that. So, I mean, my opinion is quite biasedly skewed on the education system, but it is a cool dialogue to talk about with people who do have different experiences. So from you guys in the comments, and I'm going to call you guys the experts because I am not an expert on this subject, but I'm sure somebody out there has had experiences in the system, the school system that is, bigger school systems than my rural one. Do you guys have any experiences that you had in your schools that were considered unsafe? Did you ever feel a time, and I mean, this could be for any age group. I don't care if you're 60 years old watching the channel or you're, 15, 16 years old watching the channel. Have you ever had a time that you can definitely say you felt unsafe going to school, and not on a personal level, not like, oh, there was a bully that wanted to beat me up, but on a level where the whole school in general was in a great state of fear? That's kind of what the guy who asked the question about the public safety for schools was kind of trying to get at. I cannot say any time I ever felt like I was not able to go to school because, there was an imminent threat of any kind. I definitely had my experience with bullies when I was a young kid. When I was a young kid, I was quite heavily bullied because I was a little bit, I guess the word would be shy. I didn't quite come out of that until grade 10, but I was a very shy kid because I grew up kind of in a farmy area where there wasn't a lot of other kids. I went to elementary school of I think we had 10 other students, maybe 12 other students in the whole school. So it was a very quiet, very non-confrontational school. So when I moved up to the bigger schools, there was definitely a lot more conflict, meeting a lot of weirder people. I was very shy and kept to myself a lot, didn't talk to a lot of people. And naturally, people who are bullies go after the people who are the strangest because that's just what they do. So I definitely had my experience with many different people bullying in the more busier schools. So although a lot of people will be scared of that kind of stuff, I was never really scared of it because I was pretty good at defending myself in every form that I could get myself into. Not to say everybody was like that, but it wasn't a fear for me. Now, in some of the bigger schools, I do hear there's a bigger problem. Sorry, we're going to pause the story here for a second. See how much money we make? Well, not as much. 14,000. Okay, so let's pull out our old thingamajigger here. We got to take 876,000 off. And then 86,000 plus 15. I'm sure somebody in their head's like, duh, it's this, man. But I have way too many things going on in my head to come up with that number. 6,000 plus 15, right? 101,000. So not bad, not bad. We're moving up in the world. 101,000 and 30 by the time we get this contract. Well, this contract is kind of done, but we'll have to talk to the guys first before we get our money. We can't just add it on there. So yeah, anyway, back to the school system. Like I said, living in a smaller area, it was harder for me to really be more concerned about threats. But I know in the bigger schools where actual violence had occurred in a mass level on students, if there was, I heard stories in Surrey of kids that, came to school and they stabbed 3 other students before finally getting apprehended by teachers. And, that kind of stuff is pretty pretty concerning, and I feel grateful that I never had to experience any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Like you guys, people watching, have you guys ever had those kind of experiences where you had the oops? Oh, geez, well, that was a car accident and a half, wasn't it? We didn't actually make contact with the house, which was impressive. I thought we hit it. All right, everything's still good here. There we go. So yeah, sorry. Did you guys have any experiences that were making you think public safety was no good? And then I guess to further the question, I see a train coming. Better be careful here. To further the question, what do you guys think schools could do to improve safety in general? Like what's your opinion on if you do think they're unsafe, what can they do to make it better? And if they are safe, what also can they still do to make it better if you think they could? These are good subjects to have. I personally think like the bigger schools, at least from what I've heard, and I take what I say with a grain of salt for this kind of stuff because I'm not specialized in that field. I don't know enough about it. But based on what I've heard from friends who are teachers, they say the education system is very, very, what would be a good word to describe it? Disorganized, I guess, would be a good one because it's so big now, the education system, compared to what it used to be back in the day. It's very disorganized. There's a lot of kids who fall between the cracks, as one teacher told me. He said there's lots of kids that have developed problems in school, or they've developed problems learning, problems at home, whatever it is, causes them to act out, causes them not to be able to learn properly. All this stuff that happens, but the school boards, being as big as they are so disorganized that a lot of these kids fall through the cracks, and they don't know, they don't recognize these problems at early ages. So what happens is, they start to have development problems. They start to, not be able to learn stuff. They start fighting. They start bullying, just because teachers, or maybe not teachers, but the staff of the school aren't able to identify those problems because they either have too many students or they don't have enough resources to help the students who do need that help, which is pretty concerning, really. I find that quite concerning. And again, I say take it with a grain of salt because maybe there's something there. Oops, and I wanted to park this at the front. I parked this at the back again. That's why it's teeter-tottering here. There we go. So we're going to park these always to the front, and then we're going to tilt around. And we'll go put this in here. But like I said, so regardless of what I hear and what I say, maybe the system's improving. Maybe there's, things going on I'm not aware of. I know teachers strike a lot, so everybody gets upset about that. But from the teachers I've heard, they are quite underpaid. I hear for what they do, so I can understand the hardships. That, and the other big concern I've always heard with public safety, it all relates kind of the same thing, is most of the schools now are much larger than they used to be when, say, I was a kid. Class sizes have gone from 10 students to a teacher to 30 to 40 students and a teacher. So with that doubling, tripling, quadrupling of size of students, the attention to each student is obviously going to be lower. So a teacher won't be able to recognize, development issues, problems with a kid when there's 40 of them versus 10. If you have 10 kids and you're working with those 10 kids, you look at it and go, oh, that one's acting a little weird. Normally, he's really normal. But out of 40 kids, constantly changing, growing up, going through their emotions, you might not even notice. Everybody just kind of blurs together. You wouldn't be able to identify those issues. I'm just going to drop this off. And then I want to go back and detour or take a look at our site, make sure we didn't miss anything. I should have done that first, but I wasn't thinking. Let's throw this right on here. And we'll park you. Oops. Apparently turning that direction doesn't work. So like I said, I do feel like I've heard pretty much all sides of the argument for school safety and where the problem lies. My opinion, like I said, is to put more resources, maybe more teachers, more mental health education, more mental health counselors, that kind of stuff. And maybe that would address the safety issues that are in schools. But again, I can't really relate because I have been out of that system for so long that I don't know what the current issues are. But I don't know. Anybody in the comments? Are you guys, or anybody watching it? Any of you guys teachers? Are any of you guys married to teachers? Related to teachers? Have best friends that are teachers? Give me some insight. Let me know. I mean, you guys probably know a little bit more insight to it than I do in that case. But yeah, what's the safe thing to do? What's the not safe thing to do to try to improve it? All good subject matter for sure. Anyway, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to run back to our site. I want to take a real quick peek here and just make sure the contract will be all good in terms of what we did here. So we cleared the 4 trees that they had requested. Let's just park this guy right... Or actually, can we just drive down this little... Where's my road? Right here. Here's my road. I'm just going to park it right here. All right, let's take a gander here. All right, well, what we can do is pick up some of these little bits here. We'll hide them in the trees. Or is this a... That's not a stump, is it? What? Why is there a stump here? It's not a stump. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to throw this in the woods here. We left these little tiny ones because I thought those were... They're really glitchy to try to pick up, so I'm like, what's the point? What's the point? Throw those over there. Okay, so taking a look here. Stumpy, we got that one. This one didn't matter, but we took out this one that was kind of protruding over here. I think we pretty much got it cleaned up. There might be a couple bits and pieces laying around here, but nothing too bad. So that's all good. Now on the other side of the road, we got a palm tree, which literally left nothing because it was such a clean cut. Oh yeah, just the stump, no problem. And we had this beggar up here. Oh, we left one limb behind. Well, a couple limbs behind. Pick those up. I think this was the glitchy one, so let's just buck these guys up a little here. Stop, my friend. I'm actually just going to hide these in the bush like a good contractor would do. Can I pick that up? Ooh, that's a heavy tree, eh? Just kind of clean it up so, it's not a complete, utter mess when they come by to check on our contract work. Let's get this one here. Beautiful. So yeah, there we go. We did it. So we got the protruding tree off the fence line up there. The palm tree, which was kind of a danger tree that was going to fall on the track. And this other rotten beggar right here, which was this big tall one. But the rest of it looks pretty clear now. I'm not too worried. And there's the old train. Grab a picture. Woo! Great work. That worked out really good. So there we go. We made a cool 30,000 from that. We'll go talk to the contractors and we'll add that on for our next play there. And in the meantime, let's head back to our uncle's, and then I guess next episode we're going to start looking at getting our 880 over here with the grapple on it, because we're going to be needing that. And yeah, we'll have to rent a feller buncher of some kind. I haven't really figured out what I want to rent. Maybe I should rent... I got to get something that's tall, though. So maybe I'll get another Timber Pro. Maybe we'll get one of their Black Widows or something, because I really like that one. Timber Pro has amazingly stable machines that sit really nice, too. So we're going to grab that. That combined with the Tiger Cat, I think we'll just be laughing. And then we can just wipe out that hillside. And again, there's going to be a lot of scraps, so we're going to have to go back and do some cleanup. I don't think I have to plow it to complete the contract, but I'll have to double check on that. So I'm not entirely sure what the contract details were. All I knew is we were clearing that hill, but it was so far out of my scope when I was thinking about it, because I thought this train cleanup one was going to take a little bit longer, but we really pulled it together there, so this is good. All right, so let's park this guy here, and then we will. I'll go talk to the guys tonight about getting some rentals and stuff figured out, and then I got to get that 880 hauled over to the site as well, which we'll have to pay for, so it won't be cheap. That's life. So anyway, if you guys like the episode, leave a like, leave a comment. Do not forget to subscribe. And if you're in the bush, don't forget to hug a tree. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.